Welcome to this deep dive into the week's key spy stories and security intelligence updates. Usually, authoritarian control looks like a sledgehammer, loud, obvious. But looking at our analysis today, it's more like a boa constrictor in the South China Sea
Right.
and, well, a paranoid algorithm in Moscow.
Yeah, exactly. We are dissecting how global powers are aggressively expanding their grip, but, they're also exposing some really striking fragility in the process.
Right. Let's start with that boa constrictor. Beijing is aggressively normalizing military pressure on Taiwan. Like on July 30th and 31st alone, we saw 27 aircraft and 9 vessels, and 22 of those aircraft crossed the median line.
That is a massive surge.
Yeah.
And they also sailed the Coast Guard vessel Shushan straight into the eastern approach. They are basically simulating blockade tactics.
Which is wild. And to me, focusing on that eastern edge feels highly deliberate, right? It's like Taiwan's back door. Why is that specific approach so strategically critical for their survival?
Well, it is the primary lifeline for any U.S. or allied resupply during a crisis. By patrolling there, Beijing is essentially proving they can lock the deadbolt.
Wow. A gray zone squeeze, basically tightening like a boa constrictor.
Exactly. Meanwhile, Taiwan is actually fighting this from the inside. They are actively moving to dissolve a pro-China political party that was accused of espionage. It is a dual pressure campaign, physical and political.
Yeah, and Beijing is backing up that physical pressure with some serious hardware. I mean, they're practicing vertical assaults with Z-20J helicopters off amphibious ships. But the real headline for me is the missiles.
Oh, definitely. The YJ-20 hypersonic anti-ship missiles.
Right, they're taking those highly maneuverable missiles and putting them on the Type 052D destroyers. They aren't just saving them for elite cruisers anymore.
Which completely changes the math. Suddenly, the U.S. Navy has to treat every single mass-produced Chinese patrol ship as a potential carrier killer.
But honestly, slapping your best weapons on your everyday fleet, is that a brilliant tactical integration? Or does it feel like a rushed attempt to quickly mask vulnerabilities before a conflict even starts?
I have to push back a bit on calling it entirely a mask. Distributing advanced weapons across a wider fleet legitimately complicates targeting for any adversary. It is smart warfare.
Fair point, yeah.
But you are right that it reveals a ticking clock. Beijing knows their top-tier limited assets might not survive the opening hours of a real conflict, so they're rushing to project this unstoppable image.
Because they're feeling the pressure of their own modernization deadlines, so they project overwhelming strength to hide those vulnerabilities.
Right.
Which leaves us to Russia, where the vulnerabilities are just cracking wide open.
Oh, the internal panic in Moscow right now is palpable.
It really is. The Kremlin just labeled Telegram founder Pavel Durov a terrorist. The FSB claims kids from 12 to 22 are being recruited for sabotage through a Telegram dating chatbot. The digital paranoia is massive.
And it is happening at the exact same time they are relying on external help just to keep their operations going. They are using North Korean KN-23 and KN-24 ballistic missiles.
Yeah, strikes that recently killed a family of 5 in Ukraine, which is just awful.
Oh.
But the glaring irony here with Durov is just absurd.
It is completely staggering.
Right. How can Moscow justify labeling Durov a terrorist when their own military and pro-war commentators literally run their daily frontline operations on Telegram?
That is exactly how fragile the system is right now. They are terrified of unregulated spaces.
Yeah.
But the state security apparatus is essentially attacking the military's logistical backbone because the Kremlin prioritizes absolute control over actual frontline competence.
Right. You're arresting the founder of the app your own army needs to function. And that incompetence is spilling over borders now.
It really is.
It's like doing a frantic, reckless home renovation with cheap tools. Eventually, your sloppy demolition just knocks a hole into the neighbor's living room. And in this case, the neighbor is NATO.
Exactly, and the hole is a literal crater in Polish airspace. A Russian missile entered Polish airspace and scrambled NATO jets.
And while they're failing to aim properly, the FSB is arresting a resident in Khabarovsk for allegedly leaking military technical info to New Zealand intelligence. Are these airspace violations an intentional stress test of NATO, or are they just getting dangerously sloppy?
Honestly, it is sloppy execution driven by desperation.
Right.
When you combine imported munitions with rushed, disorganized operations, precision is the first casualty.
Wow. So it's not some grand mastermind plan.
No, but intentional or not, an airspace violation carries a very real escalation risk. The lack of operational control makes the whole thing incredibly volatile.
So these aggressive regimes are tightening their physical and digital grip, but they're clearly showing massive cracks under the strain.
Absolutely, they are overextending.
Which leaves you with this final thought to mull over. If Moscow actually succeeds in their crackdown and completely suppresses Telegram, could that communication blackout inadvertently cripple their own frontline military coordination more than any foreign sabotage ever could?